All right, today we're in the food trailer and we're looking at this roof. So you can see here I ran these 1x2 support rails on the sides. I originally had plans to put the same vinyl siding that went on the walls. The problem is it's too flexible and it was wavy and wouldn't hang correctly. So what I've done is I've purchased this hardboard. This is white high gloss hardboard. And we're going to put 4 strips of this across this way, all the way down. So these running boards is what's going to hold it on. And this should give us a finished look for the roof here in the coffee trailer and allow us to wrap this construction up finally. Then we can start on building the counters for the sinks and putting in real water tank instead of using temporary ones. All right, so let's get started. So I bought 4 sheets of this. The trailer is a little over or a little under 16 feet. I had to trim these boards about 5 inches in order to get the 16 foot to fit. So 4 of these should work. That end is where the complication is going to be. So we're going to put these 3 up first, full sheets. Just trim off the edges or one side. Get the 3 up first, and then that last one down there will be the complicated piece. So I'm going to move these whiteboards out, see if I can get them someplace safe. I don't have to worry about damaging them. I still have a few bees hanging around. The other day when we went to clean the trailer, we had some syrup and we had a huge bee infestation. So if you see me swatting at a few bees, I got rid of most of them. We cleaned the syrup up, moved it inside, and that's what happens when you have syrup and you don't clean up after it. You will end up with a swarm of honeybees, and I'm talking thousands of them. I wish I had filmed it. Would have been very, very interesting. First, I want to understand how much of this can go under these sides and use that as a support rail. The plywood is a 1/4 inch on the sides, and this is glued and then screwed to it. So that will be fine. I may need to get some of these rails to bridge the gap going across this way, which I did not get. We'll have to go and get those. But I think it looks like that can go in across the top all the way down the sides and use that as a support on that side. And that way the first attachment piece would be here. That will be loose, but it shouldn't affect anything. Now the question is the width of this trailer the same all the way up and down? Is it close enough where I can cut these straight, or do I need to make an individual cut for every board and customize the width of each one of them to match the trailer's imperfections? And I don't know the answer to that. That's what I'm going to attempt to determine here. We are at from vinyl to vinyl. Come on, tape measure, stay up. Vinyl to vinyl, we have a problem with the tape measure. All right. We're going to go plywood to plywood, I think, instead. That will give me the full cut size. It's 80 inches, and it's extremely exact. So let's take this now and let's move it here, about halfway up the trailer. Put it behind that plywood. And let's see if 80 inches here. Oh yeah. That one may be a little bit long. I'm going to say 79.5. It's hard for me to get into that that hole there. And no. Oh yeah, 80 inches. Okay. So we are at least we're the same size all the way up and down. If there's a little bit of trimming that needs to be done, we'll have to do that. I don't know if this would make this light better in here. If I open that door. Oh yeah, that certainly did. So, all right, so now we know that they need to be 80 inches, and I believe they are 8 feet. Yeah, so we are 96 inches. So we are going to have to cut off 16 inches off of each of these. So that is going to be the first thing I want to do is I want to get one of them, cut it exactly to 80 inches and get it mounted here. And I have a couple of concerns here. The first one being this wheel mount isn't going to work. So I am going to have to cut this corner out. I may need to cut a notch all the way down for that wheel. And a second one over here. I could probably take that piece and put it in up on the actual roof here, or I could just leave it out completely. I don't know yet. This door spring causes a little bit of problems with looks afterwards, because if I don't put the white part under here, it looks unfinished underneath there. If I do put it under there and I use the runner boards here, then I end up with excess. So what I might end up doing is cutting off the runner boards right about here and then just inserting that up onto the board underneath, and the lip over here and the lip over here will hold the sides, and then I'll glue it there. That should be the easiest way to handle that, and I'll do that last. So I'll just mount this piece out, and then I'll put the last 4 or 5 inches here. After I finish the end, I'll cut a piece for this end. I think that's the best way to do that. And that means the first piece will go from about, let's say 5 inches out, or 4 inches out, up to 52, because we got 48 inches wide. So the first piece will run all the way to here. I'm going to do just the first one and make sure that everything works. So if I screw it up, doesn't work out the way I want it to, then I only have to replace one of these to get this right. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut this at 80 inches straight across. Just use the regular saw, and we'll see if it's messes it up or works. Each one of these boards is about $20. All right, so I gotta find some glasses real quick. I'm gonna shallow this up a little bit. Doesn't need to be cutting down that deep. All right, now let's put it up. All right, so what we got here is 1/2 inch, number 8 screws with large heads. I wanted to make sure that it holds it holds it up really well. So this is kind of the idea. I'm thinking if I take the first one and I bow it like this and slide it up into place, I can get a screw here to get it started. And then once I get them started, I can just put a couple of extras down through this center piece. All right, it's much later in the night. One thing I forgot this morning when I started is these transition strips that go between the 2 roof panels. You can see I got 2 roof panels on, and I decided to drip this one out about 4 inches and cut those off like I talked about. And it's put that piece up at the top. I'm not going to really worry about that. This piece is done. This piece is done. Now the problem with the transition strips is that they're really made for doing this type, not this hardboard. And this hardboard is made to have wood strips over top of it and cover it. So what I'm going to do is I'm knocking these on one side, and then I am putting the hardboard over a piece of this lip here, and then just attaching it above like this with boards across, multiple pieces of board across, and that allows it to make a pretty good seam. There is a tiny gap, but that's about as good as you can do, because getting both sides of that into this thing when it's hanging from the roof before you attach it is quite impossible. So I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to trim this off, tap it in there, and then put the other one up. It's going to turn out looking really well. Let me see if I can drag you over here and give you a sneak peek of what the roof looks like. As you can see, that comes out really well. The only thing I have to do is deal with the seam along the edge here and the seam along the edge over here, but that's no problem. They make seams for that. The other piece that we talked about is this down here, where this has a little bit of an issue with the roof being so close. The drop ceiling here coming down an inch gets in the way of this. So I will take the tool and just cut these off and glue a piece of this to the roof over there once we're done. And you'll never know that the problem's there. And I'll make it a tiny bit longer than this one so that it sticks up underneath there. It'll look really good, but you won't even know there's a gap there, which is probably a good thing. It'll allow it to breathe a little bit. All right. All right. Aside from the huge mess, let's take a look at, and I mean huge mess. We cut up everything. I used this cardboard cutout of this Chewy box to get the corners, the rounded corners from the front of the trailer here. These corners are rounded, so I had to cut that piece, not only cut it down this way, but I had to cut it down this way. And then I had to round the corners to get it to work. But as you can see, it came out wonderfully. The roof is done. I still got some trim and stuff to do to clean up all the way around the edges here. We'll figure out what we're going to do for that. And then we'll be installing some sinks and stuff down here to get rid of this temporary water solution here. But as you can see, it's looking good. If you have any questions, any comments, or see anything I missed, please put them down in the comments. Love to hear from you. And thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Bye.